Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the PHF and Penang Hill Biosphere Reserve talk for 2025. So today we are going to talk of the Biosphere Reserve, and we have our speakers here. Okay, let me introduce today. As PHBR is actually designated in 2021 under the UNESCO Program of Land and Biosphere Reserves. So whenever we are talking about conservation and preservation, this word sounds very big to us, and we would like to know how these actually relate to us and what can we do to the Biosphere Reserve. And today, we are honored to have our three speakers. Actually, they are our main PHBR stakeholders, comprises from the local agencies, which is one city near I, and also we have our researchers from CMEX, Dr. Abe, and we have a private and ecosystem ecotourism operator, Mr. Joseph Goh from Entopia. So for us, without any delay, so I would like to invite our One City No I as our first speakers. Let me have a little bit of introduction of One I. So she's currently serving as a Deputy Director of Department of Wildlife and National Parks, Penang in Penang. With over 11 years of experience in wildlife enforcement, One I is deeply involved in leading investigation, intelligence gathering, and legal action against wildlife crime. Her work doesn't just stop here. She played a key role in updating Malaysia Wildlife Conservation Act in 2022, helping to ensure our law remains effective in protecting wildlife against modern threats. Her dedication to enforcement and public awareness has made her a trusted voice in wildlife conservation, both nationally and internationally. So let us welcome One I for the first speaker. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Yan. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed speakers, Dr. Abby and Mr. Joseph. Okay, so today I was given a freedom to choose what topic that can fit into the main subject that we're discussing today. So I choose to talk about how we can coexist between man and biosphere through the lens of enforcement, meaning the law. Okay, so this is my title. Thank you for the introduction. I'm sure that some of you here have more experience in conservation field. Okay, maybe not in law enforcement, but in other fields like maybe behavioral study of wildlife or studying ecological importance of nature. So my angle will be in conservation law. So we're going to look at I think some of the topics that I think interesting to share with you. Okay, next. Oh, you okay? So there's going to be four main topics in my sharing today. The first one is a brief introduction to perhilitan. Okay, perhilitan, this is the English name lah, Department of Wildlife and National Park Peninsula Malaysia, but it's fondly known as perhilitan in Malaysia. Okay, next. So the history. It has a very long history. The first law regarding wildlife protection is in 1884, which is a very long time ago. Okay, up until now we already have like 13. Our current Director General is number 13. The first one is T.R. Habak, which is 1933. Okay, and the evolution of our department first is started in state level, and then in 1972, when the first federal law gazetted, which is the Wildlife Protection Act 72, Act 76. That's when we become a federal agency. Okay, then we have I have a video here. It's a 7-minute video, but I think it's really crucial and necessary to create awareness to the public on what we do. Sometimes people just associate us with maybe the caretaker of zoo, or people you call if you find the naughty monkeys outside your house or your area. But we have wider portfolios, so I would like to play a video. It's our corporate video for you to see what is actually our role in Malaysia, in Peninsula Malaysia. So that is basically the summary of what we do in Peninsula Malaysia, our efforts to conserve wildlife. In the video just now you saw Nuan, right? He or she, I forgot. She, right? She's very gangster, right? You saw the viral video where she attacked the poor peacock until all the feathers come off. Okay, so that video is actually one of the highlights of all my lectures or talk that I share with people. So after watching that, they know, okay, so we have so much more than the first thing comes to mind before you look at the video. You watch the video. So okay, sorry. So in Penang, okay, because Penang is a small state, we don't have elephant. Okay, so we don't have that conflict. I think the biggest mammal previously being reported is leopard, but there's no reports anymore. So basically, we have wild boars, the crab-tail, the long-tailed macaques, okay, the naughty one, and then the one that you see outside, the langurs, okay. So this is our effort in Penang, in situ wildlife conservation. In situ meaning we conserve it in their natural habitat, okay, just like the biosphere. Okay, the existence of this biosphere ensures that habitat for wildlife remains intact, okay. And then for ex situ wildlife conservation, it means that we take the wildlife out from the habitat and we basically captive breed the wildlife so that we can release it back into the wild. You saw just now in the video the release of Sambadia and then the lion sun bear, pangolin, right? And then zoological parks. Zoological parks is we audit zoological parks that exist in Peninsula Malaysia, and also permanent exhibition. One of our wildlife permanent exhibition, one of the best, I must say, is 𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴. You can listen to Mr. Joseph later on his effort. Okay, in Penang, 𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴 is one of the best, and also, in my opinion, for invertebrates, is 𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐴 in Peninsula Malaysia. I bet they are the best, one of the best in the world, but that's for Mr. Joseph to tell. Okay, so and then we have public awareness. Actually, this session right now is part of public awareness. Okay, we tell people what we do as a department, and we support programs like what Penang Hills is doing. Okay, because they are part of the big family that are working hard to conserve nature. And then protected areas management. Biosphere is protected areas. In Perilitan, Taman Negara Pulau Pinang, the Penang National Park, is under our care. It's under Perilitan because it was established under the National Park Act 1980. Okay, and then enforcement activities, of course. This one I'm going to explain to you more in detail. Okay, next. So, okay. This is we have a lot of acts that we enforce, but this is the main one that I want everybody to, when you go back home, you learn something about this act, this Wildlife Conservation Act. Okay, Act 716. So next. Okay, this is the first thing you read when you open the book. Of course, there's index and all the index, but then this is the one that you will read. Okay, an act to provide for the protection and conservation of wildlife and for matters connected therewith. So this is the only act, federal act, that is actually really protecting wildlife. Okay, there's a lot of, I think, hundreds, maybe 1,000, I don't know, of act that is protecting and concerning us. But this act in particular looks at the welfare, the protection, the conservation of wildlife. Okay, so we make sure that the penalties in this act is very deterrent, so that people are discouraged to commit wildlife crime. Okay, next. So what is wildlife? Okay, sometimes we get phone calls from people who wants us to catch stray cats and stray dogs. Okay, we call it kucing liar lah in bahasa Melayu. Liar tu wild. Kan? So because wildlife is hidupan liar, so they think all this wild thing in their housing area need to call us. But actually, I want to clarify. Okay, what is wildlife under this act? Okay, it says here, wildlife means any species of wild animal or wild bird, whether totally protected or protected, vertebrate or invertebrate, live or dead, mature or immature, and whether or not may be tamed or bred in captivity. And then later, the provision narrow it down. What is protected wildlife? Okay, protected wildlife means any wildlife specified in first schedule. Okay, there's a 7th schedule in this act. The first schedule lists all protected wildlife. Okay, and then totally protected wildlife means any wildlife specified in 2nd schedule. So totally protected wildlife is listed in the 2nd schedule. Any other than that listed is not under our jurisdiction. Okay, no matter how wild the dog is or the cat is, okay, we cannot take action. It must be a species listed in the schedule. Okay, next. So another interesting protection that we give to all wildlife is that we protect it until the parts or derivative. So you can see here, A, so meat, bone, hide, skin, leather, tusk, horn, okay, antlers, gland, feathers, hair, teeth, okay, claw, shell, scale, nest, and eggs. Okay, and then B, tissue, blood, fat, oil, milk, venom, saliva, urine, and feces. So this means all parts of the wildlife we protect. So if you want to do any activities concerning, regarding, or involving these parts of derivative, you have to have documents with perhilitan. I give you example. This one, the B, usually it's researchers. They want to study the blood of certain wildlife. They want to study the venom. Okay, then they have to have a permit, a research permit with perhilitan. Okay, and C, any compound derived from anything mentioned in paragraph A or B is example of medicinal oil. Okay, you have, let's say virgin coconut oil. You add the powder of let's say deer antlers, right? So it becomes a mixture. So it becomes any compound derived anything mentioned in paragraph A or B, right? And D is the most interesting that people don't know, is that anything which is claimed, okay, claimed by any person or which appears from an accompanying document, the packaging, a label or mark, or from any other circumstances to contain any parts or derivative of wildlife. That means, just now I said about the oil, I mix it with crushed bone of chicken, but I put the label, I say it contains tiger bones. So I claim, I put it on the label of the bottle, it becomes D. Okay, so that's a little bit of the interpretation of parts or derivative in this act. Next. So this is the summary. Okay, sorry, it's in Malay. Okay, next. So type of offences. Okay, what kind of offences we put? I mean listed in this act. Okay, usually people see Wildlife Conservation Act must be hunting lah. But not only hunting, okay, keeping without documents from perhilitan is also an offence. You do business without permits or license with perhilitan is an offence. Trading means import, export, or re-export, international level of business lah. Okay, and then cruelty. There are a lot of other offences actually in the act. This one I just highlight the popular ones. Okay, next. So how do we conserve wildlife through enforcement activities. From the video just now, you see we do wildlife inventories, we do a lot of rescuing, okay? But you also see that we inspect traditional Chinese medicine premises, and we also inspect pet shop. These are the people who have license or permit with us. So if you issue a document, you must monitor the activities. Okay, next. So licensing, as I mentioned before, we give or we issue license or permit to people who wants to do activities that involve wildlife. Okay, so we have these 4 types of documents that we issue: license, special permit, and permission letter. License is usually involve protected wildlife, Schedule 1 just now, the first schedule. Okay, special permit is for totally protected wildlife, and the person that can grant you a special permit is the minister. Okay, it's very hard to get special permit. Special permit involve wildlife that, for example, elephant, tigers. Okay, that's totally protected wildlife. Permits involve people who wants to do, who wants to open zoo or permanent exhibition, who wants to do research. And permission letter usually involve when people wants to enter our protected area. Okay, so this is our system. Nowadays it's very easy to apply for our business license and also keeping license. Okay, our main, I think 90%, almost 90% of the documents that we issue is for keeping license. People who wants to have pets, usually it's for pets purpose. People think ball python is cute. Okay, you think snake is cute and you want to keep it as pets. So ball python is listed as one of the protected species. You have to have license to keep it. Okay, and you see just now in the video there are some cute tortoises that people smuggle in or out of Malaysia. That one is protected, so if you want to keep it as pet, you have to have keeping license. Okay, this is the website that now you just need to create an account, upload your receipt, upload the tagging document. Okay, tagging means if it's a bird, it has to wear some kind of ring, okay, as identification, and some wildlife needs to be microchipped. Okay, that is the IC lah for the wildlife. Okay, and you can even pay online. No need to come to our counter anymore. For Penang, our counter is in Pongta, level 40, and another one is in Bukit Mertajam. So no need to go to counter anymore unless you want to see our people at the counter. You feel today I want to jalan-jalan. Okay, you can go to our counter. We still accept manual application. Next. So this is patrolling. So this is routine. There are routine patrolling, which means state level. I send my rangers to do patrolling at hotspot. Okay, usually in Penang, we don't have serious cases like poaching with arms. Yeah? Just now you see there's a seizure in the video with all this parang and all these bullets and arms. We don't have that in Penang. But there are people who trap birds, put up nets. Okay, so what my rangers will do, we have identify hotspots, and we go there, and if people put up nets, we will put it down. Okay, and Operasi Bersepadu Khazanah, this is a special operation. It's a national level operation where we collaborate with the police, custom, and a lot of other agencies such as the forestry department, okay, and the perbadanan corporation that, for example, Royal Bandung. Okay, we have this special operation where we patrol inside the jungle, and also now it expand to urban areas too. Okay, and we have a lot of success for OBK. You can, if you want, you can Google. You can see we have won award from UNEP. Also for Community Rangers program. This is another enforcement program where we hire military, ex-police, orang asli or the Aboriginal people to join as community rangers, and local community, meaning local people around the hotspot where we identify as areas that is probably highest will encounter illegal activities. So in Penang, we have community rangers in Taman Negara Pulau Pinang. In Taman Negara Penang, we have this group of community rangers helping us to do patrolling. Okay, next. So inspection and monitoring. So after as I mentioned before, if you issue documents, if you issue licensing, there are terms in the license which the license holder have to abide. So we have to make sure they follow what we have this in the terms. And also we have subsidiaries law that, for example, orders and regulation that these people needs to abide. Okay, so we have keeping license, as I mentioned before, the most issued license in Mayuitan, and then businesses and zoo and permanent exhibition and captive breeder. We do have a lot of captive breeders, commercial captive breeders that breeds, for example, birds, tortoises. We also have people who breed the porcupine, Malayan porcupine, and deer. That is mostly it for now. For tigers, we don't give public to breed. We do it ourselves, and it's not easy. Now we have problems breeding tigers. You know that now tigers population is very low. Okay, previously in 1950s there were 3,000 almost tigers. Now it's 150 or less. Okay, in the wild. So it's one of our effort to breed these tigers and release it back to proper habitat. We don't want 3,000 tigers. Otherwise, we go to the town and tigers everywhere, because the habitat is not that big compared to 1950s. So we just want the balanced number of these predators in their habitat. Okay. Next. Oh, the problem is the female tiger that we capture. They have health problems. They have cysts, so they cannot reproduce. That's why we are in a we call it in a dire state. We need a good breed to be able to captive breed tigers. Now we have problem to get male tigers. So if you notice, a lot of tiger encounter when you read in the papers, all of the tigers that reported is in the palm oil estate or in the villages. We try to catch because we want to breed these tigers. Okay. So intelligence, raiding, investigation, and prosecution. I understand a lot of people when we talk about enforcement, we don't like enforcement, like to catch people and put people in jail. Okay. But enforcement is necessary because there are people out there who follow the rules. Why can't you? Okay. For example, you want to do business, you want to sell wildlife. We have hundreds of people who do it legally, who pay 300 ringgit per year, which I think 300 ringgit, you sell one tortoise for 400, you already cover 1 year license. Okay, people who wants to follow the rules. So we welcome these people. We think they are a very crucial part of conservation because they want to follow the rules. So if we don't do enforcement, we give other people who do it illegally tickets, free tickets to do illegal things. Okay, when we put rules, there are reason behind it. Okay, when you have license, you will have to follow the welfare part of doing business with wildlife. If you open a zoo, you must have enough enclosure size for the particular species. You must give them proper nutrients. So all of that is being audited by Penang. That's why we give these permits and license. Okay. So intelligence, raiding and investigation, I will share later some cases in Penang. That is latest this year and last year. In terms of intelligence, we have collaboration with the police, which means that we are more, it's easier for us to get information now because police also is helping us. Okay, and then for raiding, also we have collaboration with the police. Usually, way back 10 to 15 years ago, we do it alone. People usually not scared of us lah. And they see perhilitan, they will put up provocation and all. Yes? But when we come with police, they quiet. Okay. Because police is very well known for their authority. People know police, but perhilitan, if you want to know, there are only 1,500 of us taking care of the whole Peninsula Malaysia. So 1,500 is not everybody doing enforcement. Okay, many of us are doing the other things, just like rescuing, and you seen in the video just now, other portfolio. So that's why we really need to work with other authorities, enforcement agencies, to help us enforce this law. Okay, investigation. So after raiding, of course, we have to investigate the crime. Okay, usually when you catch someone, then it's obvious maybe he or she is keeping illegally, but investigation is required for you to prove, to have evidence for you to bring to court. So prosecution is another thing. For us, the most successful cycle is when you manage to prosecute this wildlife criminal. Okay, so all this effort, yes, from intelligence until raiding until investigation, must end in prosecution, where the penalty for the crime is being passed by the judge accordingly. Okay, next. Public awareness, I already mentioned just now. So this is some of our audience, general public, other government agency, private institution, and also students. Next. Okay, this is example of wildlife crime cases. I didn't share any pictures of the crime scene and all because it's still under investigation. Okay, so this is what happened in Penang. Next. The first case I want to share with you just recently happened in May. Okay, 2 male, 1 local. If I'm not mistaken, I'm from KL, so I'm still struggling the location in Penang. I was posted here last year in September. So if it's in the island, since I'm renting here, maybe I can imagine, okay, where is this place? So sometimes I can't even tell you whether it's in the island or on the mainland. Okay, this person from Teluk Bahang, if I'm not mistaken, the local, and the illegal immigrant is from Myanmar. Okay, and we ambushed 2 separate premises. One premise have 5 white ramshama, another premise have 3 white ramshama. This is white ramshama, Murai Batu. Okay, local name Murai Batu. So this happened in the Penang National Park. Okay, at Monkey Beach. Okay, and this crime is being investigated under Section 60 of the Act because Murai Batu is a protected species. Section 60 is for keeping or hunting protected species without license. Okay, next. Second case in July, recent. Okay, recent. A male and a female. The male is 50 years old. The female is 46 years old. Okay, we ambush inside a pet shop. Okay, there are more than 50 individual of birds and multi-species of birds. Okay, there's Murai Batu, there's white ramshama, common iora, if I'm not mistaken. What else? But the white ramshama, I think more than 38 individuals, a lot. There's also a totally protected species. I can't remember the name of the species. Okay, and it's in Sungai Bakap where we do the ambush. We have to ask assistance from the police with this amount of case exhibit, one truck, police truck, to carry all of these birds inside their cages. Okay, and it's investigated under Section 60 for protected wildlife and Section 68 for totally protected wildlife. Next, the third case last year in October. This is for the first one just now from in national park. It's jungle lah, meaning the crime is committed inside a protected area. But for the second case and the third case, this is urban wildlife crime, meaning it happened in outside the jungle lah. But the wildlife itself is being protected. Okay, so this one is 34 years old male. He has more than 30 individual of tortoises, multiple species. Okay, and all the species is foreign species, mostly sulcata. There's one species totally protected. I can't remember the name. So it's being investigated under Section 60 and 68. And we ambushed 3 premises for these particular cases. The same person is the one being charged. Bandar Baru, Tanjung Tokong and Pulau Tikus. So this person is, we follow him for quite a long time. He's a illegal seller and he has warehouses, he has stashes in a lot of places. So we managed to raid 3, but we believe there's more. Okay, that's why we have intelligence, and that's why we have programs like this. If you know anybody who's doing this, please let us know to stop it, because it's this person is doesn't have to follow any rules, but the licensed business owner, they have to record, they have to make sure the supply or the source of the animals that they're selling is legal. So we have to stop this illegal wildlife trade. Okay, next. I think that's it. Yes, that's it. If you have any question, please ask me.
Okay, thank you very much for participating. Right. So any question from the floor?
So, who do we contact then if we do see something suspicious?
Okay, I can give you our office number, my email. You can contact us.
Because I've seen men in Tanjung Bunga with a stick and leaves on top of the stick. They're obviously catching birds, but they're so brazen.
I see.
It's
Okay.
unbelievable.
I must say that must be the species that is not inside our act. That's not listed. That's why they are so bold. They can do it anywhere, because we cannot apprehend, or we cannot even confiscate these traps if it's meant for birds that is not listed in our act. It will be like we taking other people's property without any authority. I think it's the spotted dove and the zebra dove.
Yeah.
These 2 species is not listed in our act.
So
Yes.
not all wildlife is protected then?
Not all wildlife is protected. And I mean, that's why I said the terms wildlife just now is whatever listed in the first schedule or the second schedule. So other than that, is out of our jurisdiction as Berhilitan. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I would like a list and photographs of your listed birds.
Sure.
Because in my area, I always see these men. Yeah, and I heard that they actually catch them for fighting and all that, but I'm not sure whether they're listed. So if I know they're listed, and I have very nicely told them not to come and poach, but of course then they get aggressive.
Yeah.
So I also don't know what to do. Sometimes I hesitate whether I should call the police, and they're actually very frequent. So how can we get a list of these birds with the photographs so that we know?
Sure, I can give you the list to the organizer. If this laptop is connected to the internet, is it? No, because I can show you our website. This is our website, wildlife.gov.my. We have all the acts, the regulation, the orders in our download section, where you can download. You can search the name of the species and you can know which whether it's protected or not protected or not list. If you cannot find it in the list, it's not protected, meaning it's not in the schedules. We have this dialogue actually with very concerned citizens of Penang on this particular two species, but it's off. We cannot do anything about it because it's not listed. It's just like that. That's why I said they are very bold. They go inside because when perhilitan, our vehicle, sometimes we do a patrol in this area where they give information. Okay, but there are some information. I think the blue crown hanging parrot, we call it burung serindit in bahasa. That one is protected. It's a green bird. If you see in the trap, okay, this is a simple method. If you see in the trap, usually they will put a bird next to the trap to attract these other birds. Okay, if it's zebra dove or spotted dove, no other birds will come inside the trap except these birds. Okay, that's why it's very specific trap. But if you see a green bird being used, most probably that bird is protected. So then you can report to us. That one we can take action. But for tekukor and merbok, we cannot do anything. As per time.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm an amateur bird watcher, and outside my window, I'm on the first floor.
Okay.
I used to see 9 to 10 species of birds. Now there are hardly 1 or 2. And I think we should revise the act and the list. Because there's less and less birds. You know, we walk up Pearl Hill every morning. Less monkeys, less birds, everything is less. Butterflies are also less. So I think if that's a recurring situation, and people do make money or whatever it is for themselves, while the public kind of loses on this natural wildlife, why don't we revise the act? I mean, add more to the list.
Yes.
Because it's just within this, like, last maybe 5 or 10 years, there are less and less birds.
Okay, I agree. And in fact, the list, the first schedule and the second schedule is being revised right now. And it's under the Jabatan Peguam Negara. Attorney General's Chambers, office. One of the birds that we include now in the amendments is the murai kampung. I know the scientific name, 𝐏𝐞𝐧𝐚𝐧𝐬 solaris. Is the
Magpie robin.
Yes, that's it. Magpie robin. That's the name, the common name. It's being taken in thousands and being transported to Indonesia. There are many cases, so many cases of that bird being illegally smuggled out to Indonesia, and then NGOs start to pressure the government, say if you don't do anything about this, we don't have murai kampung anymore, because murai batu is already in small population. That's why we control. There are quotas, hunting quotas if you want to keep murai batu or hunt murai batu. So for murai kampung, that's one of the species I can give you example with strong evidence. Okay, when people, you want to put any species in the list, you have to have strong justification. For example, people who do surveys, okay, and do scientific studies on it, then you can give the data to us. For murai kampung cases is straightforward. You can Google it. You can see a lot of rates from the APMM, the Marine Coastal Guards. They are the one who apprehend these boats carrying this murai kampung to Indonesia. Okay, and we fight this until murai batu is included in the CITES appendixes. Meaning, if you even want to trade this outside the country, you have to abide by CITES law. Okay, so if you have data, you have strong. Let's say you do a survey. You among bird watchers, you come up with a good document. You can actually propose to us to include species into the list. Okay. Dr. Arbi cannot wait to give you to share with you his talk. This is a book, History of Perhilitan. Just now I just share a little bit. If you want to have a look, you can have a look at the talk. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for such insightful sharings. And actually, my question is that what our community as ourselves can contribute to help in conserving the wildlife. But apparently, there's many of you has been doing it before we ask. So thank you very much. So next we have Dr. 𝐿. He's from 𝐶MAX of USM. So currently he is a marine scientist and the Deputy Director of the Center of Marine and Coastal Studies, University of Science Malaysia. Dr. M's passion for marine life began over a decade ago, and he's now leading regional research on sea cucumbers and other marine invertebrates in Southeast Asia. Beyond his scientific contribution, Dr. M is also a strong advocate for marine education, engaging schools and public through hands-on experimental learning programs at 𝐶MAX. His work reaches research and education, helping us all to better understand and care for our oceans. We are truly honored to have him today to share with us as we claim Penang Hill Biosphere Reserve from hills to ocean. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Yang. Ladies and gentlemen, it's hard to give a talk with many friends who have listened to this, maybe or not. But I'll try my best. And this is not the best time to give a lecture too. 3 o'clock lecture, nobody likes it, including myself. I will try my best to not make everybody sleep. But Puan Ain has set the bar a little bit too much for me. But I'm a little lucky from her because you can observe birds and wildlife, so you can ask her a lot of questions. But most of us only know the sea through our seafood. So I'm a little bit advantageous and getting away from difficult questions. But I'm very sure after this you will have hard questions. I struggled hard to find a topic. Dr. Yang can testify that she was asking me for a topic for the last 2 months. She only knew, even this morning, it was the wrong topic. So, so I put up a PHBR. MPA is Marine Protected Area. So what is this all about, protecting area? And what is it all about? You know, I'm trying to feed Penang seafood. And you know Penang is a very famous place for food. So seafood and Penang cannot be separated, right? But I always start, again, those who have listened, bear with me. We always start with this, a reflection of where we are, right? And apparently I always call this planet named wrongly. It's blue in color, right? So the blue you see is actually seawater. It's water. 70% of this planet is water. And apparently, as human beings, we like to be highly egoistic. We call it Earth because we live on land. How is this Earth when 70% of it is water? So it's a reflection that anything that we do is impacting the 30% of the land. But 70% is the major part of Earth that we do not know much about, including the public, because we can travel to most part of the land, but it's very difficult to traverse the sea. So the understanding of the sea might be not as connected to us, except through the products and the services we gain from the sea. One easy question that I always like to ask. where does the oxygen that we breathe in come from? Well, most of us, the schools you teach your children, it comes from the plant in the forest. Well, it's true. Fraction of it is true, right? But majority of the air that you breathe partly is a big service from the ocean. So if the ocean dies, part of the earth dies with it as well. I mean, the planet will go on, just human can't live as comfortably or as surviving as it is. Zoom in a little bit nearer. You see, putting things in perspective is very important. Right from the space, now down a little bit. This is a map of where we are. Then again, the landmass is not big. The green part is not that big. Mostly it's blue again. I purposely removed all the names and territory because, okay, I'll do this quick. I purposely removed political boundaries. There's no political boundaries here. I remove all the names of the sea because there's a quiz. If I point here, what is the name of the sea? Oh, I hear good names. What is that? Oh, both of the names are correct. Celebes and Sulawesi. Very nice. If I point here, it gets more difficult, isn't it? If I point here, it's going to be more difficult, isn't it? But easily, if I point here, you probably know where it is and whatnot. Is that we do not even know, we can't even properly name our seas around us. What more of protecting it? What more of thinking what is down there, right? So in actual fact, we have every single name of sea. I am very afraid to do this. This has 2 slides less, which I think is very important, but I can tell you why it's important. And yeah, the 3 things, if you cannot remember anything at all, you remember Schedule 1, Schedule 2, remember this is the very important element of the sea, right? The sea flows. It's interconnected and has no boundaries. Your fish do not need a passport to go to Thailand and come back to Indonesia and swim back to Vietnam and go right to China. They do not have a boundary, right? So managing a protected area is not about I take care of myself, just leave the Thais do whatever they want. It's not going to work. Make sense? Right. Sometimes if you follow Dr. Ann to her beach cleanup activity every September, you sometimes pick up something that writes Thai. It's not the Thai people who brought the sampah here, the water flows, right? So it's transboundary, including those who do not swim, right? So whatever we do here impacts people around us. It goes as far as Hawaii, okay? The whale travels from California to Hawaii, to the Philippines, swim back across the Pacific. It happens, right? So that is the clear message too. I missed out 2 slides, but this will represent it. I'm a scientist, so we can't do this without data. So bear with me. Colors represent hotspots. The redder it is, the more species it is. Easy, right? Just now we're talking about species of birds, right? So the redder it is, the higher species content it is. Where are we? We are sitting right inside a bank. But we do not know we have a bank. Right. We always think bank equals to 30 billion or 24% tariff. Sort of things like that. I'm very political, it's online, right? But in any way, it really meant that we are sitting on a bank that we do not realize we have. Right? So we are I always like to say, this is true for all types of species in marine. Fishes, this is especially for fishes. If you go for corals, you will put out the same map. You go mangrove, you put out the same map. Go to wildlife, almost also equivalent map. We are right sitting at the most important part of biodiversity in the world. Right? You don't need to go to Australia, Great Barrier Reef to do this. You are sitting on it. But we do not know about it. That's why we don't care about it. Right? Number 2 is that sitting in the bank means we have big responsibilities. Why? if we lose biodiversity here, means the world loses its biodiversity. It's not replicated. It cannot be replicated in other place, right? So if we don't take care of this part, if we lose, for example, corals, 50% of the species corals are here. If we lose them, that's it. The world loses 50% of its coral, right? So we are at a very important area. If us do not take care of it as the custodian for the world's species, nobody will do it. So it is up to us to take care of this. So put that in perspective. Right, my title likes to talk a little bit more on seafood because I thought like how to connect to the public to tell the story of marine life, right? I like to use something like this to represent. Okay, this is a heat map looking at annual catch. This is 2015, slightly a little bit old, the data, because fishing data are very difficult to come by actually. Every countries are very sensitive with their fishing data because everybody is a very nice fishing. They are nice fishermen all the time. They do not extract a lot. But look at it again. The redder it is means the higher catch. So we are also sitting at a bank that is being ransacked a lot. Right? So the fishing pressure in this area is one of the hottest part in the world. Why? It's very easy to explain. Because we are the fastest growing economy, not us, the region. Region means in the whole Asia. It's the fastest growing population as well. So we need to feed our people. Right? That's why you will see this massive increase of annual catch in the sea to provide proteins for the people. And this will continue to happen for the next 20 to 30 years. But probably you have heard, 2050 we do not have fish, right? I will tell you a story about that. We have a good crowd of very young people to not so young people. Yeah? Young, very young, and not so young people. Okay? So why is it important? Later on you will see. Okay, never mind, let's skip this. Just now in wildlife, when I talk specifically on laws and illegals, and yeah, it's similar in fishing as well. And this is not being taken seriously by the public because we have not heard about it enough. It's called IUU fishing. I and you. So IUU calls illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing. So this becomes a very big problem for the region actually. Whatever that is catched and recorded, it's very nice data. But there are a lot of those that is caught illegally, unreported, as well as unregulated because they were caught in our area without us knowing it. Very easy. Do not get afraid with diagrams like this. What belongs to us is very easy. From land, 200 nautical miles away from land, we call it the exclusive economic zone. Probably a hot topic in South China Sea as well nowadays, right? EEZ. So 200 nautical miles belongs, any resources in the sea belongs to the country. So you are able to fish that area and bring back fish in that area legally, right? But of course, sometimes you will see reports of Vietnamese fishing vessels are intruding our waters and catching fishes. So those are examples of fishing that is being done within our area, which is not Malaysian or not licensed, not recorded, right? So there are incidents of this happening that pressures our seafood production in our own country, right? Things like this you will see every morning in Teluk Bahang. This is in Penang. This is not somewhere in Vietnam or something. This is Teluk Bahang every morning, right? And probably if you are, you see they fail again, right? If you are 60 years above, probably this picture or this situation you see differs. Just don't allow me to talk about illegal things, isn't it? But it's okay. I think you can hear me. It's very interesting. Why? If you are 60 years above, you probably don't see that much fish being caught actually.
Small
Yeah?
fish.
And it's not this size. Definitely not. Right? So we are now catching fish at smaller size and more. It's double disaster, isn't it? Now it's smaller famous for seafood, you don't see most of the fish, isn't it not? You only see this basket, probably these two. The others are not seen. Where do they go? For in factory, yes, that's good. Factory, yes. What did they do with that?
Manure.
Huh? Manual? No, manual. Too expensive to become manual. Too expensive to become manual. There's a good guess.
Canning.
All of this.
Canning.
Sorry?
Canning.
Canning. No, not good enough for canning actually. Yeah? Sadly. So they goes to making fish pellets. These are called, unfortunately called trash fishes. Right? Those goes to become food pellets for aquaculture, for producing fish. Sadly, many people become Malaysian already. Sadly, many people think we feed chicken, chicken, apa yang you don't want. No. The fish do not like it. The fish only eat they are very picky eaters. Your grouper and whatnot, you think you feed anything they want. No, I'm sorry, they don't. Right? They only eat such thing with good smell and good taste. Okay? So now, the problem is now, all your trash fishes is more expensive than the fish that you are eating actually. Right? Another trivia. 60 years old above, if you don't want to say you're 60 years above, it's okay. Pomfret that you eat, what size? Easily. Pomfret easy. Now pomfret you buy in the market, what size? All the mothers, those, you still can get that size. Are you sure? That's probably aquaculture material, right? Those wild caught probably is this size. They don't allow me to talk about bad things. Right? So what we are eating now, also, the number two things I can prove to you that we have less fish is, my father always tells me this story. When he was young, growing up, eating chicken is a luxury. Only during Chinese New Year, 5 siblings had to fight for these 2 drumsticks. 1 year you, 1 year you. Next year is my turn. 60 years above, 70 years above can testify this. Don't trust me. Trust the 70 years old. Nowadays, you ask your children, you want to eat fish or not? I don't want, I want chicken lah, ayam sedap lah. 1 generation, our diet has changed. Why? Because the cost of fish is just too expensive. And it's only meant for Chinese New Year. And weddings. And whatever. Right? Comparatively to chicken, those were the days you only get to eat chicken when you have a celebration. 1 generation, we changed the diet. Why? Because we have fish, everything out of the sea. Sadly. Right? That make your food, your seafood very, very expensive. We have data to prove this. I'm not talking by just experience. Right? We have data to prove this. Look at the blue one. The blue represents captured fisheries. How much fish we catch globally. Right? When did it stagnate actually? In about 1980s? There is no increase of captured fisheries despite we have better technology, bigger fish, bigger boat, more vessels, bigger boat, better boat, highly technology boat, but we still maintain the number of catch. What does it mean? What does it mean? We are really scraping already the last pot of wild fish that we can catch. Any additional that we are eating now is all aquaculture. Remember the thing I talked about aquaculture just now, what do they eat? They eat trash fish, right? So we are fishing small fish to make to big fish which nobody can afford. Why? Because we only aquaculture fish that is high value. Nobody aquacultures ikan kembung, sorry. You only aquaculture 3 main species. The grouper, which you see everybody like, I only eat grouper Chinese New Year lah. Expensive mah. Sea bass, maybe we can do it a little bit more. And the salmon, in the perspective of Asia, not salmon. The perspective of Asia is camera. I suddenly forgot.
Snapper.
Oh, snapper, yes. 3 most important species. All of those are not cheap, right? So there is a looming disaster for seafood ahead of us, yeah? So Very lucky those who have lived in 1970s because they were abundant of fish and you were enjoying your fish perfectly, right? And you will start seeing this more frequently, Penang especially, because Penang is actually very difficult because Penang people are very intelligent, very well read. I always call very well read. Every year you will see this more and more, Penang fish breeders are suffering more loss because of, pollution. 2019 again, you have fish dying in Teluk Bahang. And then in 2023, you have more fish dying. Even aquaculture is starting to fail around this area because of many types of challenges. Right? Then I always like to say this. I personally like cockle a lot. Those who have grew up with Penang can really recall cockle is a very important part of culture, of char kway teow, of your laksa, and of your lok that laksa. So, story is that lok 20 years ago, 30 years ago 40 years ago, lok cockle is this size, and is the cheapest, right? The color, cheapest one. Now go look 3 biji, that's this size, the most expensive one. True or not? This is not a joke, right? One generation changed, right? So I always say Penang one cannot be better without cockles. But you go to any char kway teow shop, you only can get char kway teow with cockle in very specific shops, right? Yeah, why? Because it gets too expensive now, and because it gets very rare to get cockle. Because we have just destroyed the population, yeah? We just scrape every single thing that we can. So losing those is also part of losing our cultural heritage as well. Once it's gone means, your youngsters do not know char kway teow with cockles. How sad could that be, right? On top of that, I'm not going to dwell on this, we know this. If you can't remember, the 3 things I talk about the sea, right? Interconnected, flows, no boundaries. 3 looming most important challenges in the future of our sea, apart from us scraping every single fish that we can. First, climate change can bring these 3 things. Yeah, your ocean is getting warmer, your ocean is getting more acidic, and your ocean is getting breathless. 3 most important things that you should remember. Yeah, those are the impacts of climate change on top of us gathering all the resources. Now, going back a little bit more local then. What should we do here? What should we do? And I always stress this again, Mr. Allen, pay attention, Mr. Allen. The total area of our Penang Hill Biosphere Reserve is 12,481 hectares. Out of this, marine area stands about 5,196 hectares, which constitutes 41.56% of an area. If we are putting all our attention in the Penang Hill only just because they call Penang Hill Biosphere, we are missing the half of the mark. So a lot of attention now, we should start looking at this area as well, right? If we do well in the Penang Hill, we are just 49% good. 41% must be taken care of. And we are very special because most biospheres are either coastal only or only land area, but we now have a biosphere that consists of the ocean as well as the hill. Now, we always also heard about protected areas. So, if we have a protected area, no fishermen can get in, and that's it, we will succeed. But that is not always the case. Yeah? There are many times we like to claim we have many marine protected areas. So we claim, okay, this area, no fishing, and that's it. We leave it, we don't care about it. So that will not make a protected area successful. So there are many things that we should think about in order for it to be successful, even though it's a marine protected area. Fishing can be done, like PHBR. Right? We do not just think about protecting means we do not care about the fishermen. There are ways for us to, how do they work with the ecosystem side by side. You have closed seasons, for example, where fish are laying their eggs, let them be, and then come back another time, 1 month or 2 months later, for example. So that's one of those examples. I'm not going to dwell on this again, but the key message is that there are many types of strategies that we done. Not just declaring a protected area and leave it and it will thrive. No, that is not the case. It's a properly managed area is a very important part. Yeah? I remember my professor always tells us this. When you take a class on environmental management, what actually are we managing? Yeah? Are we managing the environment? Or actually we are managing the people using the environment? That's a big hit to me. And I still remember until today, it's 20 years already. Yeah? Ecosystem management is not managing the ecosystem, it's managing people and humans. You can still see this in Teluk Bahang every single day. These guys still out there doing fishing. These are some examples of sustainable way of doing things that can be managed, that can thrive the community, as well as benefit the ecosystem as well. Okay? And of course, we also have to think about what are we going to feed our children for the next 30 years, since we do not have big pomfrets anymore. No good fish, no ikan kembung. And yeah, so in 𝐶𝐸X, which is situated in PHBR as one of the marine centre in the biosphere. So we are now thinking of alternative food which is safer, which is cleaner, which is sustainable for the ecosystem. For example, bivalve, oysters, clams, mussels are very good for you. Good for your health, good for the ecosystem. Why? Very easy. If you eat fish, it's like eating beef on land. It costs a lot of energy just to produce 1 kilogram of 1 pound or 1 kilogram of beef. Why? From the sun, you plant something eat the plant, the energy transfer, every level of transfer, you only able to transfer about 10% of the energy. So eating below the energy level is great. How is it that from sun to vegetable to something, stops there and you eat those things are very good. Bivalve is such thing, bivalve. From the sun energy, you grow plankton, which is tiny plants. The bivalve eat the plankton, filter it, cleans up the water, and you eat that. Very low in energy, very efficient, right? And they grow quick. So those are the examples. Eat more seaweed. Enjoy your seaweed more. It's not a very local delicacy in Penang, but we should start introducing this kind of beautiful, which is beautiful food, healthy for you, good for the environment. Eat more seaweed. It's good for you. And it's good for the environment, right? Sea cucumbers are part of those which we're not going to talk about. So those are a few things that we are researching in 𝐶𝐸X. And again, as I said, the last and not least also, the last message that I want to bring here as well is we should think beyond Penang Hill Biosphere Reserve as well. As I say, the sea is connected. What happens in Thailand affects us. What we do here affects Singapore, right? So we need to think about transboundary kind of protected area. How to work with each other, not just within the country, also beyond boundaries. This is one example also. This has, there are now plans to do transboundary kind of marine biosphere reserves. How do we then collaborate with different nations to talk about the same thing that we care about? Yeah? So the last thing is that, of course, think about what you can do. Don't always say, Pahilitan should do something. Just like our community here is very great. I want to report on something. That's the way to do. Take actions. No matter how big or how small, you can do something. Eat less high energy food. Tell your children about seafood, where it comes from. It does not come from pasar. It doesn't come from the supermarket, because your children probably do not know where does the chicken and the fish comes from. Trust me on that. They only know that it comes from the supermarket. It's a sad situation, but that's the reality of things. Yeah. So of course we can take action. We can make a change for a better future for our children. Yeah. So just a snippet of what I'm going to tell you, and if I will be happy to answer any question if there is any. Don't ask me about seafood in the 1960s, because I was not born yet. Thank you, sir. Yes.
I see a lot of land reclamation
Yes.
all around Penang.
Yes.
So how, I mean, is anything, why government can't do anything about it? We are reducing the sea area.
Yeah. So I can comment this professionally as an expert in the field is that sometimes it's very difficult for finding the balance of development and protecting the environment is also a very important factor. No one can win all. Of course, everybody wants to protect the ecosystem. But in the same time, we have to think about how do we then develop a community that can thrive. In Penang is a very special case because we are an island and people always have this question, there's a lot of land on the other side, I want to do something about it. What I can say is that since 𝐶IMAX is a little bit involved in some of the area, we try our best to give the best advice. If you are, for example, you are taking away a certain area of the sea to do it, in exchange, we want something that, and if those people who are using that area, can we then spend the same equal amount of money or same equal effort to do a protection in another area, so that we have that kind of exchange. Yes. I don't like to call it a compensation because there's never right compensation. Compensation is a bad word because there's never, there's not one-to-one. Yeah, but don't call it compensation. I call it an effort to revive other places as well. We for sure. I'm walking into the hole. I think it's very dangerous. Right? Yeah, the key message is finding the right balance is very important. No one is right after all. Finding that clear balance is very important, and us as a citizen, being the eyes, very important because your voice matters. You can do a lot. I as a scientist only can voice what is based on data. We can tell you based on data, this is what it is. But the people can decide how they want this to be developed. Your voice matters.
And how it will impact the reclamation, will impact the level of the sea. Where somewhere when you are filling somewhere with the land, the water level will increase in another area, or what happens actually?
Okay, that's why
as a marine.
Yeah. That's why in the first 3 slides I gave you a perspective of a very wide perspective, a very local perspective, right down to Terubahan. If you follow the lecture, right, it goes from the space to global, local to a very small place. In actual fact, filling up that small part of the world is nothing, is a small drop of the impact. Your sea level rise has much more concern with climate change. And for me in Malaysia, climate change and sea level rise, our main point that is most important is the flooding of our rice fields. Nobody is talking about this yet. This is another whole total topic in Kedah. Your rice fields are actually very low land, very near to the sea. Any part of sea rice will intrude, they will have a salt intrusion to your paddy fields, and no paddy can survive in any single water that has salt. Yeah? So sea is definitely rising, but we have no plans yet what to do. Sadly, yeah, but it's good. I like that. Means we can start those conversations. How are we going to think about our future food security? Not just seafood. Now your rice has a little bit problem now. What do we do? Yeah, we have not started thinking about it. Remember that I'm online. It's okay. Politicians cannot think beyond 5 years, but the people living here must think about beyond 30 years, right? Because politicians will always care about 5 years because every 5 years they have to demonstrate to you they have worked hard. But us as citizens, you are going to stay here for beyond 30 years. We should be thinking about 30 years. Okay? I did not say anybody should think what, but that's what it is. I didn't do a prescriptive, right? I didn't do a prescription. Okay. Last one. Burning question that you have to.
Okay, it's not a question, but since we talked about fishermen and reclamation, can I just add a little information? Georgetown Festival on the 8th and 9th of August, that's a special performance on Waris in Bengkalan, Kota Nelayan. It's a performance about the fishermen and how they are being affected. So do go and watch and support them. A platform is going to be built for the performance, but actually after the platform has been built, it will be used by the nelayan because they need a platform to land their boats. So on the 8th and 9th of August, go there. The performance is at 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, there's no question anymore. Then we will move to our next speakers. We have mentioned just now, we have our agencies, we have our researchers, and now we have our famous, well-known Entomopia who are focusing on the entomology studies, which is specializing in butterflies and now moving into insects. Okay, so let me get a little bit of introduce about Mr. Joseph. Mr. Joseph is the owner and the CEO of Entomopia, a center for nature learning where it brings the best of the insects and plant worlds together for everyone to experience the harmony in nature. He manages the utopia of entomology that played host for over 6 million visitors since its inception in 1986 under the brand of the Penang Butterfly Farm, which underwent a rebranding exercise in 2015 and reopened its doors to visitors as Entomopia. The team of Entomopians that he manages currently comprises 100 members. Mr. Joseph Goh is also responsible for its consultancy arm, whereby it has ongoing entomological consultancy projects worldwide. So let's give a welcome to Mr. Joseph. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What an exciting afternoon after hearing Puan Ain and also Dr. Ebb's presentation. First of all, I'd like to give a big congrats to Penang Hill Corporation for organizing the festival again every year, no fail. This is such a great job that you guys are doing, and thank you for your invitation. Right? I'm going to go a little bit faster now. Make sure that we are still on time. So now we have an authority talk, which is very thought-provoking, and also Dr. Ebb's very impactful sharing. So for mine, we are just going to make sure that we covers the general site. I'm not going to go very detailed into what we are actually doing. It's going to take us days just to cover that. So, when we were given the topic, man and the biosphere, who needs who most, actually it's very difficult to actually cover this topic. So, this message I just want to get across everyone. Every breath we take, every drop of water we drink, and every bite of food that we eat is a gift from the biosphere. It is really realistic. It is part of everything that we do. And to understand, I think this is just to share. The biosphere is actually essentially life support system. It is the whole system that we actually rely on, from clean water, food, to medicines. Everything is all from this biosphere. And everything that we actually live on actually comes from within, right? I'm just going to go into a few of these key services of the biosphere. Clean air, which I think Dr. Ebb did talk about, right? 78% of all the world oxygens come from, there's land and sea included, 78%. Right? Clear water, the healthy ecosystem filter purifies about 80% of all the fresh water that we rely on. Right? And food security, biodiversity supports agriculture, providing vital crops and livestock for the global food system. Billions of people worldwide, right? And the climate regulation, the climate change issue, and also medicine that most of us rely on, and also present, our actions today that determines what the future is going to be. So, the positive and the negatives, exploring our impact on the biosphere, which is the good, right? We have done conservation efforts, which Habitat does a lot in Penang Hill. Efforts and led to the recovery of a lot of endangered species and habitats, right? Sustainable agriculture and eco-friendly innovations are also on the rise. Whereas the bad side is deforestation, population overexploitation have led to 69% of the average decline in global wildlife population since the 1970s. That includes what I'm going to talk about later. Human activities drive climate change, causing habitat loss and extreme weather events. All of us experience that. So, let's zoom in into what Entopia actually focuses on, right? Invertebrates. We like to always call them the silent workers because we hardly know them, we hardly see them, and we hardly hear about them. Why focus on invertebrates, right? They are the backbone. They are actually insects without backbone, right? Invertebrates. Those of you that do not understand. Very small in size, and they are the most diverse of animals on Earth. Huge, right? What huge? Making up 95 and 98% of all the living species on Earth, right? Majority is all them because they are so small. That's why they conquer. Essential roles, well, they are pollinators, they are pest controllers, soil enhancers, waste managers, and also food sources. Right? General examples of invertebrates we have is insects, right? As usual, arachnids, which is all the spiders and whatnot, the eight-leggeds, the water-dwelling invertebrates, shellfish, it is your territory, legless invertebrates as well. Right? These are all the invertebrates that we actually look at. Now, if we break it into their contribution, all the pollinators, the bee and the butterflies, the role they play in the biosphere is actually supporting 75% of all the global food crops. Right? Example, 1 in 3 bites of food that we eat is from them. Decomposers. Invertebrates as decomposers. Recycle nutrients, enrich soils, right? The vermi-composting that reduces landfill waste. I'm sure some of you may have had it in your own, right? Composting work that you do, right? And marine invertebrates, like shellfish and corals, they filter water, build reefs, support fisheries, and coral reefs supports 25% of all the marine life. So it's a huge ecosystem that we are looking at based on. Now, we always like to use this term, small wonders, big difference. It is the little tiny insects and invertebrates that make a huge difference if we really look at it, right? I'm sure everyone knows what this is because of the pollination they do. Do not let the size fool you actually. Invertebrates are the backbone of the whole ecosystem, performing indispensable services that directly support all life on Earth, including human life. Think of them as the silent engineers and essential workers of our planet. Without them, the intricate balance of nature would collapse. So, to look at invertebrate, what kind of solution can they actually give? They offer groundbreaking solutions across the various sectors, help us to build a more sustainable future, right? We try to break it down into a few key pillars, right? So we like to call it the invertebrate sustainable solution. First, agriculture. That is one of the core in what invertebrates actually focuses on. Another pillar would be waste management. That's what invertebrates can be very useful, right? Transforming waste into valuable resources. Food and feed. Invertebrates are also a very critical supporting factor in food and feed. And biotechnology and innovation, driving scientific breakthroughs and biomaterial development. These are a lot more scientific. And the marine sustainable, protecting our ocean and coastal ecosystem. If we look at these key pillars, then you will cover basically what invertebrates can contribute towards the whole ecosystem. Now, let's look at the first, agriculture. This is our own backyard. And to be frank with you, pollination is the key, right? Every butterflies, bees, beetles, and many other insects are absolutely vital for crop production, and they facilitate the production of over 75% of all the leading food crops and nearly 90% of all the wild flowering plant species. And the impact? Without these tiny workers, basically, we won't have food on our table. Right? Can you imagine if there's no bees and there's no butterfly at all? The plants cannot pollinate themselves. The fact is, the value of insect pollination service worldwide is estimated to be between about 235 billion to 577 billion annually. That is the impact. Now let's look at the warfare. Predators, insects such as the ladybugs, they feast on aphids, while parasitic wasps, they lay their eggs inside the average nest, effectively controlling their population. This is a natural controlling population of pests instead of using pesticide. There are systems that in the wild that actually has this control. The power of worms. In agriculture, worms are actually very important. They are actually the process, they are actually the key in creating the soil condition that every single agricultural farmer needs. Now let's look at waste management. We chose black soldier fly because in Antopia we also started using black soldier fly as a waste management system. This is the adult of a black soldier fly, and that's the larvae actually feeding on waste food, right? And that is the outcome after feeding. Basically, they play a very crucial role in bioconversion, transforming waste into valuable resources. As for black soldier fly, they are very efficient in recycling waste food. Currently in Antopia, we are actually collecting waste from our general hospital in Penang. Yeah, all the kitchen waste comes to our plant, and we process the waste. And all the waste will turn into off products, eventually zero waste out. There's nothing left. It doesn't, instead of all the waste go to the landfill, now it comes to Antopia, basically. Yeah. The impact is, it significantly reduces the volume of waste sent to landfills, decreases greenhouse gas emissions, and mitigates underground water pollution. It's a powerful tool in fight against waste. Of course, there's also the vermicomposting, which is more traditional, right? Where you have worms in your compost, which is quite common. I think a lot of people actually do, right? This specialized worm actually breaks down all the organic waste, and such as kitchen scraps and garden debris, and transform into highly valuable products. Benefits to our garden for sure. Right? Without the worms, basically your soil cannot be enriched with soil. The fact is, 1 pound of composting worms can process up to half a pound of organic waste per day. That is the fact. Now, what about food and feed? As a global population grows, finding sustainable protein source is critical. And invertebrates actually is part of the solution. I'm not sure how many of you have tried before. Anyone? Show of hand? Maybe not here, right? You tried it some in Thailand or in China, right? We started letting people try in Antopia before, but apparently it's not so welcome. Right? Yeah, it's not a common thing that people like to try. However, we feel it's still a very good source towards the future. Yeah? Insects like crickets and mealworms are not only rich in protein, but they are also they also produce significantly less water and land required to actually produce them. And for environmental wise, insect farming produces sustainable fewer greenhouse gases because we need very little space to breed them. Because they are so small, right? If you want to breed a herd of cows versus, a ton of insects, the space that you need is like 1 to 100 maybe. Right? The fact is, to produce 1 kilogram of protein, crickets only require 12 times less than the cattle. 4 times less than a sheep, and half as much as pig or chicken. Okay? Now, what about the ocean sustainable harvest? Beyond insects, many marine invertebrates provide delicious and sustainable seafood options, right? What Dr. M already shared. Sustainable seafood choices, octopus, squid, and shellfish are excellent examples of marine invertebrates that can be harvested or farmed with a lower environmental impact, and compared to many other fishes species. Choosing these sustainable invertebrates option helps reduce the overfishing and also allowing the marine ecosystem to recover at a faster time. Now, the benefits of invertebrates protein extend beyond direct human consumption. They are also transforming animal feed production. And this is why we are actually turning our black soldier fly into dried larvae and eventually oil as well as protein. So this is actually the greatest contributor by BSF. If we are able to harness all the waste that all of us are generating into proper treatment, we can turn them into protein source, eventually goes back into the feeding of all the animals that we are breeding. Okay, it's a good cycle. So, using BSFL protein, we can significantly reduce the demand for fish meal. On the app, we should talk, which often relies on over-harvesting of our fish, right? So this helps prevent the depletion of the marine resources. And it can also be processed as dried larvae, protein powder as the key, the oil for various different applications from pharmaceutical to cosmetic, as well as we call the remaining crust, we turn them into fertilizers. Okay. Now, invertebrates are at the forefront of scientific research and development of cutting-edge biomatter. If you look at BSFL, whatever that we actually breed, there's always this remains, and they are the skin, right? The exoskeleton of the insects and the shells of crustaceans are rich in chitin. This remarkable biopolymer can be converted into chitosan, which has a vast area of application, right? This is what is being used for. Chitin and chitosan are being utilized to create biodegradable plastics and packaging as well, including where most of us right now, when you buy all the recyclable packaging, most likely they are from there. Yeah? The global plastic crisis demands innovative solutions, and biomaterials from invertebrates offer a truly sustainable alternative to petroleum-based plastic. Silk and medical marvel. Invertebrate silk, especially silk fibrine and from silkworm and spiders, is a groundbreaking biomaterial. This natural material is highly promising for application in tissue engineering, regenerating medicine due to the unique properties. Silk ability is to support cell growth coupled with biodegradability, low risk of immune reaction, and inherent antibacterial and antimicrobial properties, making it invaluable. It's being explored for creating scaffolds for tissue regeneration, coatings for medical implants, and components in drugs delivery system. The fact is, spider silk is one of the strongest natural fibers known, yet is incredibly flexible. Scientists are working to replicate its properties for various high-tech applications. I've not seen it myself, but I've seen documentaries talking about it before. Another, I think you know about this, Dr. Yap, coral calcium, derived from coral skeletons, is a fascinating biomaterial with significant application in medical science. It has a very porous structure and ability to encourage cell growth and new bone formation, making it an excellent material for bone regeneration and tissue engineering. And also, it serves as a natural scaffold guiding the formation of new bone tissue and forming a promising alternative to synthetic materials or bone grafts taken from the patient's own body. This could revolutionize how our bone injuries and disease. Coral structure of the corals mimics human bone, allowing for excellent integration and blood vessel growth. These are shellfish, and also one of the key why we also have to put it in, because they are actually a source of sustainable seafood and actively improve the surrounding of marine environment. It is also very incredible for as filter feeders, as they feed and they remove excess nutrients, pollutants, and suspend particles from the water, significantly improving water clarity and creating healthier aquatic system. The fact is, single adult oyster can filter up to 50 gallons of water per day. I'm not sure, is this true? Doctor, maybe you can confirm that. And coral reefs also. It builds tiny little ecosystem that actually, this manufacturing structure acts as a natural barriers, significantly reducing wave energy and storm surges. This vital protection helps prevent coastal erosion, safeguards property, and even save lives during extreme weather events. But definitely it's reducing now. Beyond protection, coral reefs are also crucial for supporting global marine biodiversity. And the fact is, I was trying to get to this. Although coral reefs covers less than 1% of the ocean floor, they actually support more than 25% of all the marine species. Again, need Dr. M to confirm that.
Yes.
And also the unsung cleanup crews of our coral reefs, right? I think most of you know them. The sea cucumbers. These creatures are natural recyclers. They consume debris, the sediments from the seafloor, and in doing so, they release vital nutrients that directly support coral growth, right? Sea urchins as well, right? They gaze on algae, preventing it from overgrowing. I mean, we have cases of algae overgrown before. So sea urchins is the key. So the loss of sea urchins in some areas also led to algae phase shift, which reefs become overgrown with algae, leading to significant biodiversity loss. So, when we look at these small insects or invertebrates, we are very indebted to them. The whole 5 key pillars here actually covers the entire system, right? In Antopia, our vision is always living in harmony with Mother Nature. And that is what we believe in. And we recognize the immense and often overlooked value of even the smallest creatures. So, for these silent workers, invertebrates, though they are tiny, are absolutely essential to ecological balance and directly support human life. They are the silent, tireless workers of our planet. We must realize that our well-being is intricately linked to the health and thriving of these vital creatures. So, back to our topic, man and the biosphere, who. So biosphere reserve, like our Penang Hill Biosphere, are not just beautiful landscapes, they are the very life support system of our planet. They provide us with every essential for survival: clean air, fresh water, fertile soil, diverse food sources, life-saving medicines, and critical climate stability. They are teeming with countless species, each playing a role in the intricate web of life. And let us live here today not just with a newfound knowledge, but with a profound sense of purpose. We are not merely consumers of the natural world. We must become its dedicated guardians. And our future and the future of all life depends on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. So is there any questions from the floor? Any questions?
No, put you on the spot, Joe. Can you please share a little bit more about the amazing work you're doing with BSF? I'm personally very excited about it, as you know, and I'm a big fan and a big supporter. And
I didn't go very deep into because today's topic was about man and biosphere, so it wasn't right for me to go into it. But it's a good question that basically our objective of going into BSFL, which is the black soldier fly,
is to actually, there are two components. The key components is actually waste management. So right now, after 4.5 years really, right? About 4.5 years now, when we started researching into black soldier fly, we have worked with hotels, and we also work with factories, and now we have also started working with the hospitals. Basically, the first objective is to create a system where we can properly treat all organic kitchen waste. And all these waste, right now, where does it go? It does go to the landfill, right? There's no other alternatives. So what we hope is to be able to reduce that. But we are only one entity, okay? We are doing as much as we can. So our capacity eventually, once we fully operate, we are currently at about 25% capacity. Once we reach full capacity for this pilot project, it will be about treating about 10 tons of waste per day. Right now, not enough yet. So we are currently progressing. It's very, very difficult to set up such kind of mass breeding because it requires a lot of manpower, resources, and also, in fact, commitment. Because dealing with waste, okay, no one really likes to do that, right? So, and for us, we are, I mean, you all know Zoopia as a butterfly sanctuary, a place where we actually create an environment for education purpose. But behind, we found that being an insect breeder, we realized there's so much we can do beyond just that. So hence, one of the insects was, of course we also breed other insects. This is one of them. So besides treating waste, the output, okay, the output of it basically is creating food source. So our feed that turn from all these little black soldier fly, eventually when we harvest them, it become actual protein. We turn them into protein powder, which is very high in protein. We are talking about 50 to 60% protein. So the protein level is a lot higher compared to the other meat source that you currently are feeding on. And they're so small. With such a tiny quantity, and yet you are able to actually harvest such a high percentage of protein. So that will be a good alternative towards all the animal feed, like also aqua feed that currently the market is using, right? And also the output of the final things that they left behind. Of course, when you treat them with all the waste, right, they makan, there's still left over, the droppings, the skins and whatnot, right? Those, we turn them into fertilizers. So basically, it's a full, complete cycle. Whatever that we feed them with, they eat, they left over, whatnot, everything is clean.
Yeah, the palm oil of the insect world is what I always call it. Nothing's wasted.
Nothing. So it is a very efficient insect. Hopefully, in down the years, we can find other insects that is very beneficial to human, to the environment, to the required ecosystem in order to maintain that kind of clean air, clean water that we need. Yeah? So, yeah, this is what BSFL is all about.
I actually think that what you're doing is demonstrating a very important aspect of the Man and Biosphere program.
Yeah.
UNESCO is actually about living in harmony with nature and about finding solutions which are not harmful to the planet and which actually benefit both the environment and humans.
Yes.
So
I think one message I want to get across. I've been trying to work with MBBP as well, right? Because there's a lot of waste currently that is from household. But it is very, very difficult when they can't segregate the waste. This is one of the biggest challenge any government or whatever that wants to, because we are still a private entity, there's only so much we can do. We can't be doing everything for the government, but we need the government to help us, but they can't also help us because they need the public to help them. So hopefully we can continue to send the message out that food waste should be segregated from all the other types of waste. Basically, all general waste from everyone's household, you should segregate them. I do it at home. I'm sure you do it at home. So it's just, if more people does it, then naturally the government would be able to approach the right people like us to help them with the waste. So that is a general message I would like to get across.
I have two questions and
Sure.
where did the BSFL come from?
They are actually from...
Is it endemic local?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you the only center doing it in the world?
No.
So
There are more now in Malaysia. Actually, worldwide, it has started. It's only the last 10 years or so it become something that is of attention. Previously, not so. Yeah, previously not so.
So we can just go and buy a jar of BSFL?
Right now, we are retailing our dried larvae for pet food. For example, if you breed like a lizard or anything at home, that even some of my friends, the dogs, they like it as like just snacks. Very much.
But
I eat it myself also.
There are brands on the market, small artisanal brands that make it for human consumption already.
Oh,
But in
okay.
KL primarily, or Singapore, KL,
Okay.
tried it.
So yeah, there are other people that is doing it.
I think it's a long way. As part of the Condo Management Council, the MBBP has started and asked us to segregate. Everything else is easy, but food is very difficult. So they put it on the Management Council. So it depends on how active the Management Council is and how the residents cooperate or not. Yeah, so the MBBP does try.
Even I can tell you, even from General Hospital, when we are working with them, the first few round that comes, you can tell they already have SOP on how to segregate them. At the end, when it comes to our place, you still got spoons, you got, even sometimes we still have other things that is not supposed to be in there. So, but it will come. It just takes time, it will take time. So, thank you.
Thank you for this hopeful story. I wanted to ask a bit more about the black soldier fly, but thank you for asking that question. I think it's great urgency that we reproduce it into protein for human beings, because protein powder is so expensive. I can't afford it. It's so expensive out there. So if you could do that, that's wonderful. And there'll be actually lots of avenues, food courts, there are so much of sources of getting that food waste, and it can be done. It just needs people who feel compelled that we have to come out to do something to get it done, and it can be done. The other thing I really want to raise, I'm not going into semantics, but I was a bit concerned that you talk about men and biosphere. We should talk about humankind, human beings, because that's important, especially for children. to learn that it's not only men who create mess, but human beings will be able to unpack the mess. Thank you.
Well taken note, well taken note.
So right, because let's not forget there are as many, if not more, women on this planet than there are men.
Including children, they have to come on board.
Yes.
Yes.
And to borrow a phrase from my dear friend Dr. Abe, by ignoring half of, you cannot ignore half the others. True, Abe.
And it reflects because we are not conscious of it.
True.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mr. Joseph. Okay, well, we learn new things. We know that Dr. Ash has found out that bivalves of the oyster and also the black soldier fly larva actually need less energy to produce, but actually give us a high protein content. And now come to the title, Man in the Biosphere. Who needs one more? Who needs one more? Oh, okay, so go back. Okay, so thank you very much for the audience to stay back, and thank you very much for our speakers. And lastly, so we would like to invite 𝐴𝐴 Sharil, our Senior Manager of Penang Hill Corporation, to present a token of appreciation to the speakers. Let's welcome Mr. Sharil to the front. One eye from 𝐏𝐶𝐻.
Fastest way.
Thank you very much. And we have Dr. F from 𝐶𝐻. Thank you very much. And we have Mr. Joseph Goh, the CEO from 𝐏𝐿. Okay, so while you are thinking the answer, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you.
Thank you.